Hey, I'm Sith King,
And I'm Sonic Sons.
and we're the Rambling Reviewers.
And we're looking at Bionicle, the Mask of Light, which you alluded to at the end of our previous review.
Yeah. Now, I gotta admit something. This and the last two movies that we saw have been part of what I call the discount pack. Basically, there is a set of 5 movies that I got for $20 total.
Yay.
Pretty sweet. But this movie, wow. This is nostalgia in a can for me. I used to be the biggest fan of Bionicle.
So I think the main thrust of this review is looking at the difference between someone who would see this through with nostalgia and someone who seeing it fresh. Because I don't jack all about Bionicle.
I watched this
I
movie.
knew it existed. That's it. I didn't watch it as a kid. I didn't know it was a thing.
It was just a toy line. This was like the
I
first
didn't
time
know.
any
I
of it
didn't
was
even
animated.
know it was a toy line. I did not know jack about Bionicle. And then you walk in, we're like, okay, we're about to hit play, and what you need to know is like these 6 epics of like, and then a bad guy showed up, and then these good guys fought him off, and then he whatever. So for you, it's basically awesome nostalgia. For me, it's like totally typical kids fair action stuff. I mean, it's set out like a video game. You have the ice world and the jungle world and the lava world, and an ice dude and a jungle dude and a lava dude. Jungle dude's technically air. And then they fight a guy. There was a few things at the end that was like, oh, that's kind of new. So that was nice. But, I don't know these characters.
And I do, which is probably why I've seen this movie at least 10 times,
My
and I'm not
gosh.
kidding.
Wow.
This was one of my favorite movies when I was like 10, because I get to see all these characters that I used to play with as action figures, and I get to see how they interact in the real big screen, and I got to see Makuta for the first time, and all this really just friggin' sweet stuff just happening, and my one problem I have with it is that sadly the nostalgia filter does not fails on one part. The character of Jala, whatever, voiced by Shining Armor. Curse you, Shining Armor!
For goodness sake, I will never quite understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's my face of everything I hate about the My Little Pony fandom.
I see.
Partially it's a scapegoat thing, partially it's I just don't like him.
Okay.
But, yeah, the acting is not the best, but,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, it wasn't
I find this-
outright bad. It was just like standard, Like,
yeah, it wasn't
oh,
bad.
no, here they come. Oh, yeah. Okay.
It wasn't bad. The scenery was good. The CGI wasn't horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen better, but I've
Yeah.
seen way, way worse.
Yeah. Yeah, frankly, I have very little to say about this. It was just like, this is very standard. I'll mention a couple things at the end that I alluded to earlier, which was, the dude discovers he's the Toa of Light. I thought that was going to be the end, because I figure status quo is God, and we're not going to go, like, kill the bad guy. Well, they did, actually.
Yeah.
They went down into hell, and then they fought him, and then he does this thing where, like, they doesn't kill him. They merge into like one figure.
Yeah.
And it's implied that the shadow guy has like been deceived this whole time. He thinks that the god needs to stay asleep, otherwise he'll be in pain. And you're like, oh, he's like got this weird lie in his brain, and we have to like undo the lie. That's kind of new. And then he gets his head chopped off by a wall.
Yeah, that was cool.
If there's a heroic sacrifice, you expect it to be fighting the bad guy, not I'm lifting this really heavy wall and it's so heavy that it chops off my head.
Yeah, that was great.
And then he comes back to life like literally 1 minute later. At least the light side does. The dark side, I guess, stays dead forever. Is this the end of the franchise?
No, it has other
They
stuff.
brought in the Lord Zed. They had a new arc villain.
From near as I can understand it, the next arc is that they go into the past of that city they introduced at the last minute. And it turns out all the village chieftains were actually once Toa of their own.
Oh, okay.
But they gave up the Toa power to free everyone from Makuta's power back in the past.
Okay.
And then it later turns out that like the entire world is actually... that it turns out that all the Matorans are actually kind of like antibodies for Matanui, who's actually a giant robot, except Matanui's soul is ejected and sent to another part of the galaxy.
So basically, a lot of other stuff happens.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't truly understand it. I stopped following it after this movie, honestly.
Okay, yeah.
But just because this is nostalgia for me. This is just pure nostalgia, and I get to see all this amazing stuff that it stands up to me.
Cool. I'm just watching it like, yep, yeah, I saw that coming. Pretty much saw that, Turns out he's the Toa. Yep, saw that. I mean, I like the characters a little different. I like the air guy has a weird way of talking.
Mm-hmm.
The ice guy is very taciturn and cool in his own way. But nothing like real. Like I haven't bothered to memorize anybody's names, which I guess I'm kind of bad with names to begin with. But
okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I wasn't like really attached to any of these guys. It was like, yeah, okay, I can see he's a hero guy.
And I had more of a stake in it because, well, quite frankly, I was a huge fan of it. Which I guess means it fails as a movie because it doesn't connect as well to those outside of the franchise.
Right. Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It succeeds for the fans of the franchise, and it kind of fails for everybody else. Like it wasn't just plain old bad. Like we just saw Superman 4, but it was just like shrug. Yeah, I've seen this. I would babysit kids if they were boys with this movie.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a forgettable movie in. Well, for most people. But
I get nostalgia is quite a thing, and that's the lesson of this review, I guess. Everyone has their own personal reactions, sometimes based on nostalgia.
I think we've kind of run out of things to say.
Yeah, I know. There was not a deep plot there.
I think we should bundle this up with our review of Last Starfighter, just to...
Because it's so freaking short. Yeah, I don't know. We'll get to that in a few weeks. But yeah, I think that's basically it.
Yeah. I liked this movie.
And I shrugged this movie. It was okay.
Okay. Well, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
And we're signing off.